Alrighty, first November class of Thursday for NHA for the 2025-2026 school year. And we got a good crew on, a few more yet to jump on. And we'll go ahead and get started though. Nonetheless, oh, there is Josh. He is jumping on right now. I'll give him a second and we'll see if Poppy makes it along the way. So we're doing lessons 37 and 38 today, and they're a little more conversion from one unit of measurement to the other, as far as inches to feet and yards and things of that nature, all in the same family. And we'll eventually learn how to go from one family to the next family of measurement, like you go from inches to centimeters, or feet, or yards to a meter, and things of that nature. And those are actually two totally different families of measurement. So everything we're doing so far is in the same family. Does that make sense when I say that? Like, if you have my tape measure, this one doesn't have it, but a lot of times it'll have, this one just has inches and feet and stuff on it, and it has the fractional components down below, if you can see that. But there's a lot of them that'll have the inches up top and then the centimeters and millimeters and stuff on the bottom. And so this one doesn't have that. A lot of times your rulers will have that. You may have a ruler handy with you right now. If you have a ruler, like within, you can reach it, maybe at your desk in your house. If you have a ruler, just go ahead and grab it real quick. And anybody put your hand up or put your thumb up if you do. Anybody? Okay, nobody. Well, a lot of times a ruler will be that way as well. But the top half will be like it's as a ruler usually it's a foot, so it's 12 inches, and but then the bottom will be centimeters, and then the little hash marks between the centimeters will be millimeters. And so those are two different families of measurements. They're different, and even like there's Poppy. Let her get in here, and looks like we'll have a full class today. And so, and it's kind of like when you look at your parents, when you on your car, the speedometer, we go in miles per hour, and but most of the world goes into kilometers per hour. Or we might say, like our basketball players will say, he's 6 feet 10 inches. Well, they'll go, he's, whatever, I don't know, 250 centimeters or whatever the measurement is. So they measure in a totally different family. Even golf, I'm not sure what sports you like. Oh, I'll give you a good example. Alexis is a swimmer, and they oftentimes go in meters, right? Alexis, put your thumb up, like when you do a 400 meter or something like that, or whatever the measurement is. And so meters is the metric system, a totally different system than feet, inches, yards, miles, etc. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you something we've done so far, and we'll get to a little bit more of that even today. Let me pull the white screen up here. And let me make sure usually if I do this, one of these views, it makes me bigger. That's the one I like. And so when we record it, it's a little bit bigger. So I'm going to show you something here. The metric system, we're going to learn about half of this lesson is the metric, and then all of the next lesson is metric. Okay? And so let me show you something. I'm going to go a little chart here. You can draw something similar to this if you'd like to. Little box. And you want to have 7 boxes in here. So you need 6 lines inside to make 7. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. Perfect. Couldn't have envisioned of doing that any better. Okay. Now, let me tell you something very, and you probably already know this, but if you do, humor me. Let me explain it to you again. The metric system is based on something called base 10. Now, base 10 makes it very easy to go from one measurement to another measurement, because base 10 means you're either multiplying or dividing by 10 to go from one measurement to another measurement. Okay. And remember, when you multiply by 10, you're just moving the decimal point to the right once. When you're dividing by 10, it's to the left once. And for every subsequent zero, you move the decimal place just one more time. For example, 743 times 100 is just 743, and then you have a decimal there. You add two zeros, two spots, so it's 74,300. So anytime you multiply by 10, all you're doing is moving the decimal, or 100, or 1,000, or 10,000, or 100,000. So if we had 7.43 times 1,000, watch what this would be. 7.43 times 1,000. Well, there's three zeros. I'm multiplying. I'm going to the right. So I go 1, 2, have to add one more zero, 3. So it's 7,430. If you made $1,000 an hour, that'd be good money, wouldn't it? And you work 7 hours and let's say we'll call it 43 minutes, although a minute, that's not a great representation because there's 60 minutes. So we'll call it 43 components of an hour. You would make $7,430. That's multiplication. With division, same thing. We just move the decimal point over. So it makes the conversions from one metric to the other metric very, very easy. Okay. And so if you had divided by 100, 7.43, you got 7.43. Well, you're dividing, so you're going to the left, you go once, add a zero, you go twice, 0.0743. Okay. So it's called base 10, and it saves you from having to do any math because you don't need to multiply. You just need to move a decimal point over. Remember how hard it was when you go from inches? There's 12 inches in a foot. There's 36 inches in a yard. There's 3 feet in a yard. There's 1,760 yards in a mile. There's 5,280 feet in a mile. And there's 63,360 inches in a mile. Those are all very, confusing numbers when you're dividing by 5,280 or multiplying by 63,360. Makes it very hard. That's the U.S. standard measurement system in length. Inches, feet, yards, miles, right? In the metric system, we're going to put the meter right in the middle. So I want you to put meter like this, okay, in your box that you drew. Then I want you to put meter here in each of these. And we're going to put something in front of the meters, except for the middle one. We'll put a star here because this is the one that's the actual meter. So every time you go up or down, you're actually going to be either multiplying or dividing by 10, depending on what you're going from. So we'll call this a kilometer, a kilometer. Then we have a hectometer. Then we have a decameter. Then we have a decimeter. Then we have a centimeter. Then we have a millimeter. Okay? So if you notice, the middle one right here is a meter, kind of like the middle of the road. Again, a meter is about the equivalent to a yard in the U.S. system. Two totally different umbrellas, but they're nearly similar to each other in size. Okay, I want you to draw an arrow outside here like this, going up, and an arrow on this side going down. So you've drawn this little box that I've drawn for you. An arrow on one side. On this, I want you to put, we're going to go, well, I'll show you, let's get to one and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so look at number one. It says, how many centimeters are in 12 meters? So we're going 12 meters to centimeters. Okay, so this is the largest measurement. This kilometer, a kilometer, is similar to what we call a mile, okay, in our system. So that's a long ways. Like, I'm not sure how far you live from NHA, but you probably live 5 miles, 8 miles, 10 miles away from where the campus is for NHA. A meter, which is this one here, is like I said, a yard-ish. A centimeter is um, about close to an inch. I mean, they're not really, but in that realm. And then millimeter is even smaller than that. Okay, so the further you go up, the larger that it is. The further you go down, the smaller. Like a millimeter is very, very small, and a kilometer. But every time you go from one to the next, all you're doing is either multiplying by 10 or dividing by 10 or just moving so every spot you go, you're just moving a decimal. So we're going from 12 meters to centimeters. We're going from a 12 meters from a larger, it's larger up here, smaller. So from a larger to a smaller, we already learned how to do that, right? Larger to smaller is multiplication. So we have 12 meters. And now watch. Well, how many centimeters is that? From the meter to the centimeter, you're going 2 spots. Change the color here. 1, 2. So that means you just move the decimal place. Well, you basically multiply by 100. Because every time you go one spot is 10, 100, 1,000. So if you're going from larger to smaller, you multiply. If you're going from smaller to larger, unit of measurement, you divide. Okay? So 12 meters is going to be 1,200 centimeters. So there's no math at all. All you're doing is moving decimal points. Okay, let me stop right there. If you're completely understanding what I'm saying, even though you might not know how to do it yet, you understand what I'm saying, you give me a thumbs up. If you're completely lost, you'll give me a thumbs down. And if it makes some sense, but you're still a little foggy, that little pointer finger in the middle is what you want to do. On the count of 3, let me know where you are. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, perfect. Okay, so again, I want you to, just kind of process this. Let's do this. So we're going from decameters, which is here. Change the color again. We're going from decameters. It says convert 35 decameters. Again, when it's a question, remember you got to kind of invert it. What you're going from, what you're going to. So we're going from decameters to kilometers. We're going from a smaller to a larger. Okay. The largest that we have on this chart, at least, is a kilometer or kilometer. The smallest is a millimeter. So deca is right here. And a decameter is 10 times as big as a meter. It's 100 times as big as a decimeter. It's 1,000 times as big as a centimeter. And it's 10,000 times as large as a millimeter. And remember, the prefix centa is like 100, like a century is 100. Milla is 1,000. So like here, meters, centimeter, 100 meters, right? Deci is like a 10, right? Like like a decade. So you have decade, century, millennium, right? So that's where you see these words from. Okay, but this is a decameter. The deca and the deca, these two aren't used very often. And so they are, and they sound similar. So those are the ones that are the most confusing. Kilometers, meters, centimeters, and millimeters are used most. Hectometers are used some because like we call our like property, we call like an acre of land. The equivalent in the metric system is called a hectare, and it's based upon a hectometer for a hectare. Like you say, I have a 10-acre lot. You might say I have a 9 hectare if you're in a different country. So we're at number 2, convert 35 decameters to kilometers. So we're going up. So we divide smaller to larger. So we go 35 divided by, we go up 2 spots, 100. 1, 2, it's 0.35. So the answer to number 2 is 0.35. All right. Why don't you do this? Why don't you try number 3? Okay. Oh, almost erased that whole thing. And then you send me over the answer. You want to? Didn't want to erase that. Trying to erase the colored lines that I have. Okay. Okay, let's see. It says we're going from decimeters, 72, 90 decimeters to how many hectometers? So we're going from 1, 2, 3. We're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit. So we're going to divide and we're going 1, 2, 3 spots. So that's every spot is a zero after a one. So it's divided by 1,000. Okay, 1, 2, 3. It's 7.29. Okay, is the answer to number three. There are 7.29 hectometers in 7,290 decimeters. Understand that? Yes? Thumbs up if you got it. All righty. Let's do this. Um, oh, you know what I did? I'm sorry. I was on lesson 38. I should have been on lesson 37. I'm sorry. So if you're on lesson 37, turn your page over. I hope I didn't confuse you at all. I should get a hash mark for that, shouldn't I? I went
Yeah, I
right to
was
lesson
really
38 with its
confused.
chart. So if you didn't turn your paper over, I'll give you those answers again. So you see 1, 2, and 3. We did 1,200 centimeters in 12 meters. There are 0.35 kilometers in 35 decameters. And number three is 7.29. I went backwards there. So the reason I did, no, doesn't matter. I messed up. Who's got my hash mark total keeping track? What am I at? 8 or 9 now?
8.
Goodness gracious. Give me a, did you all pick up on that or did you not? I'm sorry about that. You okay? So turn your page over. You should be on lesson 38. And let's just finish 38. We'll do a couple more of these and then we'll go backwards to lesson 37. And my apologies on that. I wanted to show you this chart because um, it works better on lesson 38, and I never told you that. And so, frustrating. I frustrated myself. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's try number 4. And since we're going to continue on this, okay, this will be a two-part problem here. Let's see if we can make some sense of this. We'll leave our chart here. And it says 12 meters plus 3 hectometers, and they want our answer in meters. We already have the first half is 12 meters. Let's see how many meters are in 3 hectometers. Okay, so we're going from a larger to a smaller, which means we're going down, which means we're multiplying. Remember, we're going from 3 hectometers, so it's times 10 times 10 more, which is times 100, the total. From hectometers to meters is 100. So 3 hectometers is going to be 300 meters. 12 meters plus 300 meters is 312 meters. The answer to number 4 is 312 meters. Okay, let's do this. I want you to try number 5. Okay, I'm going to leave my chart here and I'll do it in a second. Lesson 38, number 5. You have 3 different components here. All of them will have to be converted. And you'll add all of them up together. When you're done, you can look at the screen, see if you got it right. You almost said, why would we even do it if you're going to do it for us? No, that's not how this works. You do it with me. I have to sneeze in a minute. I'll try not to sneeze right in the speaker if I do sneeze. I sometimes sneeze so violently, my spleen comes out my nose. I got to push it back up in there. All right, so let me show you what we did here. Number 5. Okay. It says add 1.5 kilometers or kilometers to 1 hectometer to 12 decameters. Okay, so 1.5 kilometers. This is actually going to be moving the decimal place 3 times because one, 2, 3. So kilometers to meters. I'm going to go times because I'm going from a larger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement. Okay, so 1.5 times 1,000. I move it over the number of zeros that we have in 1,000. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1,500 meters. Kilometers to meters. So 1.5 kilometers is 1,500 meters. Okay. Then, by the way, when you run like a 5K, that's like 5 kilometers, right? That's when you run that much. So we have hectometers here. We have 1 hectometer. It's twice, right? 1 times 10 would be 10. Then times 10 more would be 100. So from hectometers to meters is 100. From decameters to meters is times 10. So 12 times 10 is 120. So we have 1720 meters, 1,720 meters would be the answer. All right. Let's do number 6. I want you to try this one. I'm not going to do it till I get at least a couple answers over. I'll help you out with it though, okay? So number 6, it says this. And then we'll go on. Then I'll let you do the rest, and then we'll go on to the other page to make sure we have time for that one and such. Okay, so it says they want to go 41 hectometers minus 250 meters. But they want the answer in decameters. Okay, so you're going to go from hectometers to decameters for this unit, and from meters to decameters in this one. So this will be times 10, and this will be divided by 10. So then yeah, that makes sense. Then send me over an answer in decameters when you're done on a chat. I'm going to wait for you. I'm not going to let you wait. Watch me do it. I'll do it in a second if you're confused. I want you to see it, but I want you to try it first. If you're actually trying it right now, put your hand up on the or a thumbs up. Okay, good. Is anybody kind of confused? Put a thumbs down if you don't even know where to start. All right, here I go. I'm going to go 41 hectometers. It's right here to decameters, which is times 10. So 41 times 10 is 410. Just move the decimal place over. And 25 meters to decameters is divided by 10. So I just move the decimal one time there. So it's 410 minus 25. So it looks like that would be 385 decameters. Did you get 385 decameters? Thumbs up if you got that. Okay, good, good, good. Cool. Again, the nice thing about this is in the metric system, there's just moving decimals as opposed to actually, like if you're going from a, how many, you know, I got 3.5 yards, how many inches is that? You'd go 3.5 times 36, right? Which that's a lot harder than just moving a decimal point. So, um, anyways, I'm gonna let you finish up lesson 37 on your own. Let's go backwards to lesson 30, 38 on your own. Let's go backwards to lesson 37, and we'll see if we can make some sense to this. And then we will, by the way, next week there's no NHA. Tuesday's Veterans Day, so there's no NHA because of that. And since what I'm doing with my math is I'm doing the opposite lessons that I've already recorded, I have to, yeah. So we won't have class on Thursday either. The whole week is off. And so, but I'm going to send an email out to your parents. And if you're on the email list, you'll get it too. Basically saying it gives you an opportunity to get caught up on your lessons. And by when we get back a week from Tuesday, you should do all the way through lesson 38. And so that'll help you get caught up if you're not. If you're already caught up, great. You get a week where you can maybe do some extra work, do some different work, maybe do some of the odd lessons if you've not done those already. Okay, let's go to lesson 37. A meter is equal to 1 meter on our chart here is equal to, well, be times 1,000. And since we're timesing, we're going to go down. How many zeros are in 1,000? 1, 2, 3. Down 1, 2, 3. So your answer to number 1 on lesson 37, a meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. That makes sense. 10 meters is equal to 1. Now watch. We're going kind of backwards here, right? 10 meters is equal to 1 decameter. Okay? Since from 1 to 10, there's going to be just 1 0. So it's either going to be decameters or decimeters. Those are the only two answers that it could be. Okay? But 10 meters would actually be equal to 100 decimeters or 1 decameter. You see that? So you see the answer to number 2 would be decameters. Again, use your chart here and write it down. And by the way, just so you know, this also works with things like grams, which is a weight measurement, right? So if you wanted to, when I get done with this, I'm going to erase the word meters there and I'll put grams in. It's the same exact prefixes: kilogram, gram, centigram. Okay, so works there as well. Liters also for volume. Like when you go to the grocery store and you buy one of those kind of larger plastic bottles of Coke, that's like a 2 liter. Okay, that's a metric term. Like we have similar to a half gallon. A half gallon is US measurement term, but we do use liters sometimes. 2 liters is the measurement that you have for that, pretty standard unit for like a Coke, right? That you have for a party. You usually don't drink a 2 liter on your own, but you might drink 24 ounces, right? Or 12 ounces, like a standard can is 12 ounces. That's US measurement. And then you might go to a pint then a quart, then a half gallon, then a gallon. And again, those are all, they're not consistent, but from a milliliter to a centiliter to a liter to a kiloliter, those are all the same exact thing that you do here in the metric. So all three, from length to weight to volume, all use. The answer to number one on 37 is it's a millimeter, right? A meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. So again, meter, because we know it's 1,000, there's three zeros ready to go up or down. Let's see what makes sense. 1 meter wouldn't be 1,000 kilometers. That's like almost the distance from here to Chicago, right? But 1 meter would be 1,000 millimeters. Okay. And again, it's got to make logical sense, process it, and such. So here, let's go to number 3. I want you to try it. Okay. You're going to go from hectometers. Yeah. So the answer number 1, Giselle, is letter E. And then I said the answer number 2 is B. You're going to do number 3. You're going to go from a hectometer is equal to 100. Well, we can't go up twice. So we probably know it's got to be down twice, right? So 1 hectometer, larger to smaller, means we're going to multiply. And the 2 more zeros there would be multiplying by 100. So what would the answer be to number 3? You can send it over to me if you'd like. A, B, C, D, or E. A hectometer, a decameter, a meter, a decimeter, or a centimeter. Okay, right. It'd have to be a meter, right? Letter C. From hectometer, 1, 2. Okay, let's go on to the next one. 100 centimeters is equal, it's basically doing the same thing. 100 means that's 2 spots. We're going up because we're dividing. How many meters? Because got to be 1 meter. Letter C again. And then I'm going to let you do number 5 on your own as well. So you can do number 5 on your own, and you can do the last part of lesson 38 on your own. For time's sake, I'm going to go on to number 5. So we're going to go back to the standard, the U.S. standard measurement. We'll do 6 and 7 for you for sure. Maybe 8 also if we can have time. So look at the number 6 on lesson 37. It says they want you to take 3 different measurements and add them up. So 1 mile plus 880 yards plus 1320 feet. And they want us to have it in miles. Okay? So the mile's already in a mile, so we can just bring this down as 1 mile. Okay, now look at, let's think this, let's be smart. Okay? Who's ready to be smart? Put your thumb up if you're ready to be smart. Anybody? Put your thumb down if you don't want to be smart. Okay. Listen, this is number 6. Okay. If you look at the conversion ratio, there are 1,760 yards in a mile. Can you see that 880 is basically half of 1760, right? 8 and 8 is 16, carry the 1. 8 and 8 is 16. 16 plus 1 is 17, so 1760. Okay? Can you look at this and see that 880 yards would be a half a mile? Okay, you could actually do the calculations if you'd want to. Okay, you could say, 800, 760, 80 over 1760, right? And then 1/2 is like 0.5, right? Okay, if you're kind of lost, or if you're lost, thumbs down. If you kind of see it, pointer finger to the left. If you understand what I'm saying completely, thumb up. Count of three. One, two, three, go. Okay, perfect. Okay, got one thumbs down, one koala bear. Good. Okay, so again, what are they asking me to do? They're asking me to add these three measurements together and they want it in miles. Okay, if you don't remember the conversions, they're right up here on the top of your, not the top, but right above the number six. Okay, so we know, according to our conversion rate, that there's 1,760 yards in a mile. Okay, we want to take, well, that means this measurement right here has to be less than 1 mile because 1760 would be a mile. So we have 1 mile that they gave us originally plus 880 yards, which in our mind we figured out is a half a mile. A half as a decimal can be expressed as 0.5, right? Now let's be really smart here. Okay. We're going to take 1,320 feet and we're going to turn it into miles. Now, we know that there are 5,280 feet in a mile. Okay? In our mind, 1,320 probably is 1/4. If we don't know that, you can just write the fraction. 1 mile has 5,280 feet. Here we have 1,320 feet, which is less than a mile. But let's turn it into a fraction so we can turn it into a decimal. Or we can go straight to a decimal. Let's just do that. Let's cross the zeros out because anytime you have a zero on the top and the zero on the bottom, you can do that. So 528 into 132. Okay, we had to add a decimal there. And then since 528 is larger than 132, we have to add a zero. Let's think, how many times would 5 go into 13? Probably at least 2, because 5 times 2 is 10. Let's do the math. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 1 is 2, 4 plus 1 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So let's go ahead and subtract. Okay. Let's try 5 here just to see what happens. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 1 is 26. We also know that 0.25 is a fourth, right? So 1,320 feet, and using the same logic that we used in the yards, we could kind of assume that this is, okay. So what I've done is I've converted 880 yards to half a mile. I've converted 1,320 feet into a quarter of a mile. And now I'm just going to line up these decimals. They're all in the miles now. 1 mile, half a mile, quarter of a mile. How far is this? 1.75 miles. The answer to number 6 is 1.75 miles. Okay, now I want you to try number 7. Okay, I want you to try it. I did this. 6 was pretty hard. It wasn't that hard, but let's do number 7. They want us to convert 15 yards plus 5 feet plus 6 inches into feet. I got 15 yards is how many feet? Well, you just multiply by 3, right? 5 feet is already in feet, and 6 inches. By the way, if you're having any trouble with this video will be on the YouTube channel by tomorrow. You can watch it again. And if you sometimes math, you watch it, it's kind of foggy, watch it, you don't get it, and all of a sudden, boom, a light bulb just boom pops in your brain. 45 plus 5 plus a half. 45 and 5 is 50. You line up the decimal, 50.5. All right, let's do number 8 and we'll call that a day. So you'll get 9 and 10 on your own and 5 earlier on your own, plus the last 3 or 4 on lesson 38. They want us to go 4 miles plus 3,300 yards plus 576 inches into yards. So miles to yards is me times 1760. This is already in yards. And inches to yards is divided by 36. So you multiply the 4 by 1760 to get the number here. This just comes right down. It's already in yards. And 576 divided by 36. Bring that down and then add those 3 together. Miles to yards, there's 1,760 yards in a mile. So just 4 times 1,760. This comes down already because it's already in yards. 576 inches is actually not going to be very much. It's going to be, 36. So 4 miles is 7,040 um, yards. That's what they want us to put in yards. This is already in yards, so leave it as it is. 576 inches is 16 yards. So you had 7,040 plus 3,300 plus 16. 10356 would be your answer, and that is the correct answer. All right. Again, this will be on the YouTube channel as of tomorrow, so you can watch it again if you're having any trouble at all. And again, next week there's no NHA on Tuesday because of Veterans Day, and it gives you a whole week to get caught up on some things. Plus, you'll have access to the YouTube channel. I'm going to send in the email another link to the YouTube channel so you can watch Mr. Soto videos to your heart's content. Anybody have any last minute questions? We are a couple minutes over time right now. So, all right, we'll call that a class. And we went 9 weeks straight without a break, and we get a break next week. So looking forward to that. And I will taco to you a week from Tuesday. Mr. Soto signing off.